Former President Trump took the stand in New York Monday in his civil fraud trial. Trump clashed with the judge during his testimony, repeatedly lashing out and straying from questions. At one point, the judge threatened to cut Trump's testimony short. We are joined by CBS News legal contributor Jessica Levinson to help us think through some of these issues in this case. Jessica, this is the first time that former President Trump has been called to testify in this case. Why is he on the stand, and how severe could this go for him?
Well, he's on the stand because the prosecution called him, and he had a choice of either taking the Fifth Amendment or testifying. And for those who thought he might be more contrite on the witness stand under oath, they were very much wrong. This looked and sounded like it was a political rally and a political defense made from the witness stand. But he has, of course, testified in this case in a way because we have his deposition testimony. So today was really a decision as to whether or not he would speak and answer questions or whether or not he would take the Fifth Amendment. And he did not take the Fifth.
So this is not the first time that the former president has been charged with saying things that are not so. But his defense in this specific case, one of his defenses, and I'll ask you about the other one as well, but one of his defenses is, or the family's defense is, I trusted the accountants. They know how to do all this. I trusted them. Is that a plausible defense?
So I actually think the way you ask that question is exactly right, which is the family members who have testified so far, specifically Don Jr., has basically said, not it. Over there, look over there. It was the attorneys, it was the accountants. Whereas today, what I heard more from the former president wasn't just, it wasn't me, but he actually took some responsibility. He said, I know a lot about real estate. I've been in this business for 50 years. Instead, what he's saying is your entire case, Attorney General, is wrong. You've claimed I've overvalued properties. I've actually undervalued them because what you're forgetting is the value of the Trump brand. And so he didn't run away from these statements as much as some people may have thought. Instead, what he did is really try and undercut the entire argument that there was an overvaluation here. The
Trump brand, which he admits in his books, was built in part on bragging and boasting above the current value of things. Let me ask you another piece of the defense case, which is essentially no one was harmed. The banks got their money, insurance companies got their money. So why is this such a big deal?
Right. No harm, no foul. And John, you're exactly right that puffery is a big part of the Trump brand and the Trump defense in some cases. So on this particular point, the kind of no harm, no foul, this is a victimless crime. What I would just say is a couple of things. One, the attorney general has said that the Trump organization benefited as a result of ill-gotten gains. The other is that the statute that Trump is being charged under, the New York Attorney General does not have to prove that the banks and the lenders suffered a financial loss. And so that may be a political defense, but legally speaking, it's not a good defense under these particular statutes.
And finally, Jessica, the way the president was behaving and his obvious disdain for the judge who was sitting just feet away from him, how much might that hurt him? I mean, in other words, strip it away as an act of theater, but when it comes down to it, how might that actually hurt him in terms of money?
So legally speaking, he has an audience of one, and this judge has already ruled against him on one of the 7 counts in this civil case. So it is never a good idea, again, legally, to try and anger the one person who's making a decision about how much money you'll have to pay and whether or not you'll be able to do business in New York again. Having said that, Trump's audience is a lot broader, and he's arguing to his base from the witness stand, and he's arguing to potential donors. And so I don't think he's just worried about the harm of how much money he's going to have to pay in this case. He's worried about making sure that he's making a consistent case to his voters and donors of, look what is happening to me. This is a political witch hunt. I told you so.
Indeed, Jessica Levinson, thanks so much for being with us, as always.